Alright, shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom. Alright, this is your brother Kazakia out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit of Paul Yahweh Shem Shah, right? We're probably getting started. We want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaChakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, who rule and teach well, peace, blessings, and salutations, speak to the whole elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, alright? And the title of today's lesson is going to be, Don't Get Fired from Your Job Spiritually, alright? That's the title of today's lesson is going to be, Don't Get Fired from your job spiritually, okay? And right now, through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Shah, we've been called to be workers for the Lord, right? We've been called to be servants, okay? And do the will of Yahweh Shem Shah, okay? Now, the world is loud, okay? The world has a vastness to it, a deepness to it, okay? And it has the possibility to drown out the spirit, right? So, we want to make sure that we keep our connection with Yahweh Shema Shah strong. And how do we do that? We do it through the scriptures, okay? So I'm going to start off here in Colossians 3 and verse 1. It says, if ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above, where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of God. Okay, and it's verse 2, and it says, set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth, man. So we ought to set our attention, on the things that the Lord spoke about, man, right? Which ultimately, the scriptures, through the spirit, empower Yahweh Shema Shah. We're to focus, right? We ought to keep our eyes single and focus on the word, man. Okay, because we have day-to-day lives, that we live. Okay, we work. Some brothers may have families that they have to deal with, and a wife and children, and it's just many different things that could have the possibility to drown out the word, man. And the world itself is strong, man. So if you're not strong in the spirit, okay, right, as far as your mindset, being geared toward Yahweh Shema Shai, you could easily, fall back within the world, man. You could become basically, in so many words, disenchanted, or whatnot. So you want to make sure, that you focus on this truth, man. Whether it be via reading, studying, watching bros, video epistles, okay, etc., etc. All right, making sure you do your due diligence to make your calling and election short, man. Staying on fire, being fervent in the spirit, okay? Because, ultimately, these are the things that you're going to have to do in order to receive the kingdom of heaven, man. These are the things that the elect are going to have to do, all right? Now, let's go to, I had a few precepts lined up, but let's go to this one here. So I got my other little page there. Let's see here. No, wait a minute. Alright, this is 1 John 2 and verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Right? So you're supposed to have a disdain, you're supposed to have a disregard, or basically, basically no care about. Okay, you're not supposed to really care about the things that's going on that pertain in the world. Yeah, you have to take care of business, and business is just that, business, but it doesn't come before your first business and or your first job, which is to be a servant of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? You're on a mission, you're on a task. Okay, you have to complete the mission, man. Okay, the scriptures say, he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. So you gotta do just that. Okay, but if your eyes, okay, are focused elsewhere, you can be led away, because the flesh will basically, in so many words, drown out the spirit, man, or it can, so, we're supposed to walk, which we're going to get that, we're supposed to walk in the spirit, man, okay, and not in the flesh, as much as we possibly can. Now, you're not going to always, be in the spirit 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Because there's still a balance to things, right? We don't have perfect bodies. But you practice, right? Practice makes perfection. Okay, so you do just that. You practice the length of time that you can walk in the spirit, man. And each day, or the further we get closer and closer to Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, second coming, we basically supposed to be on point, man. Our focus is supposed to be heightened. Our sense is supposed to be heightened. Okay. We supposed to be fervent, for Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Verse 16, it says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. And it says, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, and he that doeth the will of my God abideth forever, right? So, the things of the world, they're going to stay within the world, man, right? You can't take none of your accolades with you, your awards, right? You can't take your money with you. All of that stuff has got to stay behind, man. And the only thing you're going to be left with is what you did for the Lord, man. What you did for Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Because the Lord doesn't care about none of the things that are in the world. The only thing he cares about are the things that pertain to the spirit and that's tied to the spirit. What did you do for him, right? Because remember, I said you're a worker. Okay? And then this thing, you're supposed to be growing. Okay? You're supposed to be trying to be better every single day. And I'm not saying that you're going to just be a so-called perfect person. You know what I'm saying? But, the point is to strive for perfection. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? So that you may be deemed just, righteous in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? Let's get, I'm sure I'm going to get here. Let's get Galatians 5. All right, this is Galatians 5 and verse 16. Then I say, Salakia, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Right? So majority of the time when your focus, right, is on the Lord, right, you're trying to get stuff done, you got a whole day planned and mapped out, that pertains to spiritual things, that right there is just one way that basically drown out the things of the world. Because you're still going to be taking things, you're going to still be taking care of things of the world, right? You might have to go to the store, you might have to go and get gas, you might have to work that day. Okay, you might have to do something with the family, right? Maybe you got to pick the kids up or get them off the bus or whatever the case may be, or you got something to do with your wife. But during the course of that day, the main part and main focus, right, of your day was to focus on things that was tied to the spirit, man. Okay, you got lessons to do. Okay, you got study time. Okay, so on and so forth. Right? You may even have camp that day, right? The bulk majority of your time is tied to things that pertain to the spirit, man. And these are the things, that are simple, but basically help you, retain yourself, in the spirit, man. All right. This is verse 17. It says, "For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh." So they're contrary one to another. Okay? All right? The spirit is different from the means of carnality, man. All right? And it says, and these are contrary, the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would, right? So, if, like I said, if your eyes, right, your focus is on is on fleshly things, that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna you're gonna do, right? You're gonna do fleshly things, and if your focus is on spiritual things, you're gonna do spiritual things. Now these two battle, they war against each other, right? They wage war against each other, okay? But you got to be strong enough to see the things that you're doing, okay? The thing, basically, what does the scripture say? Examine yourself daily, whether you be in the faith, okay? You basically, whether you be in the spirit or not, man, all right? So if you're scrolling right through Instagram for 12 hours, which is crazy, but, TikTok and these different, different games and apps on the phone, and that's always an avenue for you to please yourself in the flesh, you're for surely drowning out the spirit, man. It's just that simple. All right. It says, but if you be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Okay. So you get it. That's just the point. All right. Let's see here. Let's probably get one more of these here. Actually, I'm gonna get this one there. Comes out there. I'll bring this out before, but I'll bring it out again. All right, this is Psalms 51 and verse 10. It says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew the spirit within me." That's every day. That is an everyday thing, man. We have to pray to Yahweh Shem Shai that He creates, right, a clean heart, a clean conscience, a clean mind, one not defiled with wickedness, right, evil, right, because brothers had to rebuke wicked thoughts all the time, man. And that's just a part of what comes with, being a servant of Yahweh Shem Shai, but, we want to make sure, that we're right, okay, that we're heading to do the work and do the will of Yahweh Shem Shai in a right fashion, man, okay. We want to make sure our conduct is right, our mannerisms is right, man, spiritually, at all times. But it also says, cast me not away from thy presence and take not thy Holy Spirit from me, right? So, long story short, don't get fired from your job, man. Okay, you got a job, you got things to do, you got places, where they say things to do, people to see, places to go, whatever. That's something they say in the world. But yeah, man, you got stuff you got to do, man, spiritually, So make sure that you do those things that pertain to the spirit, man. That's pretty much it, But yeah, that's pretty much all I have, through the spirit and power Yahweh Shem Shai. And look, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, first and foremost to the hopeful elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaChakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? Kwame Sha'Allah, Baba Ball, and Shalom.